Welcome to chapter 26, and the chase is on as our heroes pursue Dracula across Transylvania, and they're still using Mina to track Dracula's position. I can hear men's voices calling near and far, and the roll and creak of oars and the rollocks. Rollocks, you say? No, it's true. Rollocks, what you put oars in. Anyway, the reference here again to the cookery knife, which is the Gurkha knife that was mentioned in the last chapter when we said about the symbolism of that with how they have to draw blood as well. So that's quite exciting there. And Dracula is on his way home to recharge himself effectively. In the night he may lie hidden somewhere, but if he cannot be carried on shore, if the ship do not touch it, he cannot achieve the land. So Dracula is confined by his rules of being a vampire, so he has to be taken out of his box onto the shore. He can't move himself because he can't cross running water because that's a vampire thing. The hypnotism is fading, it's not working so well. Mrs. Harker yielded to the hypnotic influence even less readily than this morning. I'm in fear that her power of reading the count sensations may die away just when we want. And this is all Dr. Seward's diary as well. So moving on again, they are still trying to track. All is dark. I hear water swirling by, level with my ears, and the creaking of wood on wood, cattle low far off. There is another sound, a queer one, like she stopped and grew white and whiter still. So we don't know what happens here. Go on, speak. Go on, speak, I command you, said Van Helsing in an agonised voice. We don't know exactly what it is. Then, but something scary, maybe a wolf or something, who knows. And she's still trying to track, but again the sort of telepathic connection is fading, so the hypnotism isn't really working so well. Presumably because of the power of the land that they are approaching. So again, they have an opportunity to go. They took us on board to the Tsarina Catherine, and they have a look and they talk to the captain, who seems to be Scottish, I think, judging the way that this is written in the I dialect again. But it might not be. It could be like the northeast of England. I don't know, but I think it's Scottish. But you know, it could be. Man, he said, but it made us afeard, for we expected that we should have to pay for it with some rare piece of ill luck, so as to keep up the average. I don't know. It just seems to sound, gin we were nigh a ship. It seems a bit more Scottish to me, but I might be wrong. Creation of accent and dialect, I think that's likely. So again, we have that as a recurring feature of the novel as well. The sailors, superstitious, know there's something up. They can sense that there's something on this. That's another good one for crossing boundaries and superstition and folklore. So they want to chuck the box overboard, Dracula's earth box. It's a shame they didn't. The novel would have ended a bit sooner then as well. But the superstition of foreigners is perfectly ridiculous. That's my imagined voice for the captain there. Similar naive scepticism that Jonathan Harker had at the start of the novel, so we have a bit of a connection there, a sense of cohesion being created as well. So the Romanians want to throw the box overboard, throw it into the river, but glad to be rid of the damn thing, for I was beginning myself to feel uneasy at it. If the devil did have any luggage aboard the ship, I'm thinking it was neither than that same. There's dramatic irony, the reference with Dracula's box, of course. Then there's a bit of anti-Semitism here. So we found Hildesheim in his office, a Hebrew of rather the Adelphi theatre type. I think this is saying that he looked like a stereotypical Jewish character of the theatre of the time. Fortunately, this isn't dwelled on, so it seems to be typical Victorian prejudice coming through there as well. He refers to the Mr. Deville of London as well, but yeah, he's not actually connected to Dracula directly, as far as I can tell from reading this as well. It doesn't look like he is. Then there's another reference to another character called Skinsky, who's again working for the Slovaks. And it turns out that his throat had been torn open as if by some wild animal. So dramatic irony. Dracula is step by step moving forward. He's got off the boat. He's feeding, so he's going to regain, but he's got to go back to his box. He still needs his box. He's too far from home. He needs that box to recharge himself. So he's still vulnerable. I feel so grateful to, this is Mina, I feel so grateful to the man who invented the Traveller's typewriter. So again, that's all modern technology, a portable typewriter that she can use. Then Mina's got this section here, Stoker gives her, where she kind of logically thinks about Dracula. He must be brought back by someone. This is evident, for had he power to move himself as he wished, he could go either as man or bat, or in some other way. He evidently fears discovery or interference in the state of helplessness in which he must be confined as he is between dawn and sunset in his wooden box. So that's a limitation on Dracula. And so this is all kind of logically worked out, like how would he do it? So again, Mina's intelligence, a methodical way of thinking. It's very scientific, again, which contrasts to Dracula's way of working as well, doesn't it? So logically, she's working out how he's actually getting there. So water actually logically is the one that Dracula does. Then the man's remark that the murder was the work of a Slovak showed the general feeling against his class. The Count wanted isolation. So that connects to the mention of the Slovaks that Dracula has earlier on in the novel as well. Again, it reminds us of his brutality, his brutality and his animalistic nature as well. Here are the Winchesters, the Winchester reference there, the type of guns. That's a modern type of gun. I think it was mentioned before. I might be wrong. I thought it was mentioned before. That's modern technology that they'll be using. That are the best rifles in the world at the time, or one of the best brands of rifle in the time as well. And they work out a plan. So Lord Godalming and Jonathan Harker, are going to go in a little steamboat that Lord Godalming buys. And then John and Quincy will guard the bank, as in that's Dr. Seward. Quincy will guard the bank where perchance he might be landed. So they're going to, as in not the bank as in a money bank, as in the river bank. They're trying to work out where Dracula's boat's going to pull in so they can intercept him. Whilst the old fox is tied in his box, nice bit of internal rhyme there, thanks Stoker, floating on the running stream when she cannot escape to land, where he dares not raise the lid of his coffin box lest his Slovak carrier should in fear leave him to perish. So he can't reveal himself because the transporters would be too terrified and they'd just leave him there, wouldn't they? So again, this all links back to, we shall go on the track where Jonathan went from Bistritz over the Borgo and find our way to the castle of Dracula. So they're retracing the steps. So Stoker creates a sense of cohesion here because it connects right back to the start of the novel. So Van Helsing will keep Mina out of Dracula's castle himself, and he doesn't want it to end up like the sexy vampire ladies of old, Dracula's brides. You would come to keep him company and would be as those others that you, Jonathan, saw. You have told us their gloating lips. You heard their ribald laugh as they clutched the moving bag that they can't feed to them. So if Dracula makes it back to his castle, he can just survive there for several more centuries, and when he's ready, he can just bring Mina over to him as an undead, and that's it. She's over with him anyway. So if he gets back to the castle, it's game over, basically. I felt so thankful that Lord Godalming is rich and that both he and Mr. Morris, who also have plenty of money, are willing to spend it so freely. So they've bought this little boat and they've got everything, a lovely steam launch. But steamship, that's a higher tech than Dracula's sailing ship. And hopefully with modern technology, they can outrun him, you see. They can catch up to him with the steamship. That's the idea for that one. Mina we have all got arms, even for me, a large bore revolver. So again, a progressive element here of Mina. Stoker's given her, she's actually armed, she's got a gun like the men. Alas, I cannot carry one arm that the rest do. The scar on my forehead forbids that. That is use of pragmatics there, and it's hinting at it's a cross. She can't wield a cross in the same way that the men can. She can't actually do that because obviously she's on her way to becoming a vampire. She's almost like a fledgling vampire, as they would call it. A lot of a connection here back to the... So we have part of the novel here as well, and the snow's coming in, so there's pathetic fallacy as well, as long as I can pronounce it. It is a wild adventure we are on here as we are rushing along through the darkness with the cold from the river seeming to rise up and strike us, with all the mysterious voices of the night around us. It all comes home. We seem to be drifting into unknown places, unknown ways, into a whole world of dark and dreadful things. Godalming is shutting the furnace door. So you have, again, crossing boundaries. You've got that sense of west going into the east, going into a kind of more primitive world as well. Danger. All of that is coming back. And we also have here, I looped this round because I wonder how Dr. Seward and Mr. Morris are getting on, and then we actually find out with that. So that's a little structural device from Stoker there. So we actually have the benefit, because of the epistolary form, we can get that. So we don't have to wait. We don't have to wonder, because we're seeing all the documents pertaining to Dracula collected together into one particular place. So that's why I highlighted that. And there we have Mina Harker's journal as the last bit there. It goes back to that and we get an idea of what she's up to. The country is lovely and most interesting if only we were under different conditions. This all echoes, Stoker deliberately echoes the words of Jonathan Harker in his journal at the start. Notice here it's Mina Harker's journal. So again, it establishes connections between those characters as husband and wife, but also between the end of the novel and the beginning of the novel as well. So Van Helsing is he's keen on his food, so he's got all his provisions set in place as well. So they are really tracking down Dracula. And the next chapter is the final tractor. The final tractor? It's the final tractor. The final chapter when they will confront Dracula. And we will have reached the end of these beautiful, beautiful videos, this beautiful journey. Anyway, thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you found it useful. It's only a short chapter, that one. Have fun, stay safe wherever you are, and keep rocking. Like, comment, subscribe, etc., etc. I can't believe I said keep rocking. Farewell.